Niajeni wana sauti, karibuni tena to The Voice KE. Tuko hapa usawa Facebook hapa Nairobi Railway Museum na niko na another amazing personality hapa. Ningependa aweze kujiintroduce na tuambie mbona ameweza kufika hapa, au sio?
Kabisa.
Unaweza tuambia tu unaitwa nani kwanza?
Anaitwa Musila John Muisio. Na Musila John Muisio saa ingine kwa stage name anaitwa Chinaman the MC. So I do a couple of things. I'm a human rights defender, a member of the Kibera Social Justice Center. We are the particular moment sasa tunafanya a very big project pale mtaani Kibra around building relationship, deepening the relationship between the community and the police. And then most importantly pia, I nimesha run for political office. I ran to be MCA, Lindy Ward in Kibra. Unfortunately didn't win, lakini niko hapa. So leo nimekaa Musawa Festival of course, kujibamba, but most importantly kuongelea issues equality, especially in the context ya Kenya and even beyond.
Tumeona kwamba wanasema we want to imagine a world where we have free services, free resources, we have free information. When you imagine this particular world, unafikiria ni world ambayo inaweza kuwa possible?
So realistically, kuna vitu ideal and then kuna vitu practical. Kuna ideal yenye tuseme kila mtu leo atakuwa tajiri ama kila mtu anaishi maisha comfortable is not very realistic. But practically tunaweza weka a society ambayo everyone feels like they belong to the society. Anaweza kuwa ana enough compared to others, but ana feel that the society is a good place for them. Like an example, sisi wote tuishi Kibera. Kuna mtu anaweza jilipia a private hospital matter, but kuna mtu hawezi, lakini kukikuwa na a better health care service ya inchi, enye anaweza tu kuwa mgonjwa anaenda hospitali na atibiwe like kule mwenye ameenda kutibiwa private, we will all feel like we are okay to live in this country. So that is the feeling for me, that we can stop looking at the ideal, like America looks like this, so Kenya must equally look like that. But we can say practically in our context, Kenya inaweza achieve ABCD within our means.
Do you think you ran for office as
sure.
an MCA? Is this some of the things that you wanted to tackle, and what challenge did you see when you were trying to tackle these particular issues and reach to that goal?
So ile issue big nili realize when I ran for office is the question of literacy. Because I feel for you to have an ideological conversation as a politician, you equally need ideological listeners. Mtu mwenye atakusikiza na appreciate kenye unasema. So that is what was missing. And that is why unaona siasa yetu most times is filled up with a lot of handouts, a lot of incentives ndio mtu aweze kumobilize politically. Because the people who are being campaigned on hawataki kusikiza, wanataka tu kujua at the end of the day mimi napata nini kutoka hapa. So I was speaking to a lot of issues. The issue of health, the issue of education and building literacy levels of communities, both in the digital space and in the other spaces. Issues on talent promotions and creating alternative sources of income for young people and all that. But ilikuwa ngumu sana kuconnect na watu wenye yuko willing kusikiza ideologically. But eventually, watu wanakumbuka hadi leo somebody was speaking to something.
What would take us, because umesema ni it's all about education, people are not educated, people are not aware of even what they are supposed to have, what would take them to have this particular ndio waweze kufika na understand that they can have an equitable society?
No, inatake vitu mingi, but most importantly ni kitu naitwa intentionality na deliberate effort. Unajua hakuna venye leo tutasema we want to achieve this, but we are not even showing signs of investment towards that direction. Wezi niambia unataka communities zikuwe empowered, their literature ikuwe improved, but our education system is crumbling. Leo mtu yeye anasoma, lakini hayuko sure hata kama atamaliza chuo. The cost of education is becoming expensive by the day. The government is not willing to invest enough even in that education system and that education sector. So kuna watu ileo waendi chuo, not because hawataki ama hawawezi soma, hapana, but because the education is too expensive for them to acquire. So inakuwa normal. So we have to start there. Can we invest in these services in the right way and invest in the services that really matter? And one of such services that you may insist on is education. We need to pump, according to the Maputo Protocol or other declarations that the country has actually signed to, 15% minimum capitation for education. Na ikiwekewa allocation, ifike kwa mashule. But do people do that? Of course not. For health, the same. Because wale ukuwa mgonjwa, huwezi kuwa productive, hata ungekuwa hapo na nioji. Lakini, because of your health and because of my health, we're able to have a conversation and we're able to contribute to developing an economy. And that is important, that we look at a way of uplifting the health of the people. And health matters, even mental health. Wewe una employment, audishigi poa, utakosa kuwa mgonjwa na utakosa kuwa na mawazo. So stress ime kick in. So a lot of such things become a concern.
Whose role is it? Because umesema ni about education. Whose role is it to educate this particular our people and these people to be able to understand about all this?
I mean, ina take responsibility ya wase wengi. It is actually going to take collective responsibility. Both yangu mimi as an individual, as a community leader, the community itself, but most importantly, we bestow responsibility on leaders. Mimi leo nimechagua kiongozi, na expect kiongozi, even as they make decisions, they are making decisions that are going to influence my life positively. So kama viongozi wetu leo hawezi enda kuongelelea issue ya investing in education and bettering the education sector ya nchi, we are failing from leadership. So it will actually become very difficult to win anything hata kama community inataka aje. Because who controls the resources? It's the government. But now they are not willing to even direct them to the right places. So inakuwa ni ngumu sana. So tuanze na goodwill ya government. Mwananchi pia mwenyewe akuwe willing to be part of the journey and support the leadership. Mambo itakuwa best.
But the country is saying that tuko in a very bad financial status where we have a very big debt. Bado resources bado ni challenge to be able to keep up for health and all that. Na pia bado in this particular festival wasi wanasema that we need to tax the rich. But at the same time the rich wanasema mimi pesa yangu I have earned it, nimeitafuta. What do you think is complication? How can we be able to solve this confusion that is between now taxing the rich and be able to kuacha ati now we have the poor who are being told basi pia nyinyi mwaka hadi mweze kupata hiyo. How do we now solve this particular confusion that we have of resources?
I feel for me it's a very worrying situation because I agree. Wacha tu agree sasa tuko tu blindly fooled na tukubali sisi ni wajinga. Kenya tuko na shida ya pesa. In the last 1 year alone, how many corruption scandals have you had in the country?
A lot.
So there is money to steal, but there is not money for service. So we do not have a resource problem, my guys. We do not. Kenya is actually a very rich country from my own perspective. We have an ethics problem. We have leaders who are only looking at their pockets and their bellies and not the common good of the societies. So mtu asiniambia Kenya hakuna do, Kenya kuna do. And the question of taxation, when we're saying tax the rich, we do not necessarily mean ati tunawa target our pana. But there's something called progressive taxation, where you tax people by their means. You cannot have bigger taxes for people who are earning less and smaller taxes by giving tax events and tax incentives and tax holidays to people who are earning big. Like multinational companies zinakama hapa Kenya, wanapatiwa tax even of 15 years. So watafanya biz for 15 years bila kulipa tax. Lakini mimi na wewe tukianzisha biashara ndogo tunaanza kulipa tax immediately. I mean, that is what we're talking about. We need equality in that taxation. And the higher you earn, the more tax you should be able to pay. So we cannot be in the same tax bracket kama mimi na earn lesser, way lesser than you. So progressive taxation, where people are taxed by their financial ability. And any plans of tax incentivization should be relooked so that we do not give people a lot of avenue ya ku have more to their pockets, yet other people are struggling.
Yeah, as we come to the conclusion, hatuwezi ziongelea mambo equality na kufind inequality without even talking the issue that is at hand this particular week. Imekuwa tu yani, ladies have been all over and throwing kwa social media. We have even an organized, we are going to stop the nation because of this. What is your thought on femicide right now as we conclude?
Thank you very much. This is a very pertinent question, a very important question. But first, before I even make my comments, I want to just express my dissatisfaction by what is happening. I am really saddened by the whole situation that today somebody somewhere is just predating on someone for the purposes of killing them. It's very unfortunate. I mean, if we've gone that low, humanity is almost losing it. And I wouldn't actually like it to be the trend that can be condoned by anyone. So whoever, at whatever level, is trying to have a conversation around justifying why women are getting killed, I am actually condemning them with their loudest voice possible. That they are actually on the wrong, and these women and these girls, they did nothing wrong to deserve a loss of their lives. So that is my first position. Now, secondly, I want to question our moral fabric, our society's moral fabric. Why is it that today somebody can be confident enough to want to take another person's life without even a second thought? Where did we lose it? Na nakumbuka wakati nimeongelea education hapo awali. I remember when I was in my lower primary, there was religious education that was taken seriously, which was teaching values. There was a lifestyle education, which will teach you how to live even with other people, how to appreciate people in their diversity. So today, men must appreciate women in their diversity. Women must appreciate men for our diversity. But altogether, we must appreciate one another for our ideological differences. And we must start seeing each other as human beings. There is no way we can be easily to take somebody else's life and not even flinch. I feel for me there is a problem. So what I am saying is, we will ask the government to do everything humanly possible to serve justice to the ones that we've lost their lives. But most importantly today, invest in prevention programs that such things cannot happen again. Kwa sababu if we are able today to serve justice to these two, and tomorrow we lose another two, then we will be shooting in the dark, we will be doing nothing. So we want it to be almost a permanent situation where we have served justice to the ones that we've already lost, but most importantly, we do not see or record any other case in the coming days.
Yeah. So what is your call for action today as we conclude?
Simple. For us to realize any form of equality, we must realize from the lowest level, at the family level. So today, even at the family level, let us start to appreciate simple ethics. Send that child to the shops, give them that responsibility and make them account for their responsibility. Because we will be building a moral fabric at society level. But to the government, you're taxing us very heavily. Leo najua serikali ya Kenya ina centralize all collection of tax. We want to see that tax work. Because you've centralized it, you've made it a must that people will pay the tax. Now we want to see the tax work for us. Invest in gender-responsive public services. Invest in education, invest in health, invest in water provision, invest in security. Let us see a society that everyone feels comfortable and confident to live in. And most importantly, there is nothing as indignifying as an angry person. Let us make people have food on their table. If there is something we must do today, is remove all unnecessary taxation that have continued to make the cost of living very expensive, the cost of food very expensive, so that people can be able to put food on their table, feel some dignity, have the energy to work, and life will become better eventually. So what I'm saying is, we as Kenyans are happy to pay tax, but we will be more happier to pay if we can see the tax work for our favor or for ourselves. That is my take home.
Thank you so much for talking to us and continue doing the great work you're doing.
Asanteni sana. It has been a pleasure to be your guest, of course. Let us keep shaping societies.
Thank you so much. Asante sana.
Cheers, bro.
Tunaona, tunasikia na tutabonga. The voice.